we all have a shadow in our personality, and it is the aspect of ourselves that we just don't show the world. Oftentimes, it's aspects of ourselves that we don't even admit to ourselves. Hello, Nancy.
Hi,
I'm really glad to see you today. Welcome.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
I was so excited when you reached out and wanted to work a dream with me. And we're going to just tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I am married to my high school sweetheart for almost 55 years. We got married right out of high school. We moved to North Mississippi a few years after we were married. We raised our kids there. And then about 5 years ago, we moved to a smaller house. We downsized. We live in the woods by a lake on a hunting camp. And I love the peace and quiet. I'm a spiritual director and I only have a few directees. So when I finished my certification, I went back to a position, volunteer position as a executive director. And really right now, at this stage in my life, I'm still asking the question, what is the purpose of my living? I'm at a real place like that. And so I'm interested in dreams. I think it tells me things that my conscious mind and my ego are unable to. So that's why I'm so excited about today.
All right. Nancy, please tell me your dream.
Okay. I am with a friend who is meeting a man that she is going to have sex with for money. I don't recognize who she is. I just know she's my friend. I tell her I will stay down here and wait. We are at an old motel that is 2 or 3 stories, and I go into a room on the ground floor, and it actually looks more like an old barn with a large wooden door that doesn't close all the way. It is dark and has a dirt floor. The only thing in there is a giant bed that has room for a lot of people to lie on, but there is no one else in the room. I take off my clothes and cover up with the sheet. I am going to sleep while I wait. A man opens the door and says, "Hey, I'm Ray." I tell him, "I'm not who you are looking for. She's upstairs waiting for you." Then another man comes in and asks, "Is this where you can wait?" I say, "Yes, it is." He takes off his clothes and gets in the bed next to me. I am uncomfortable and think, I hope he doesn't get so close to me that he knows I'm naked. After a while, my friend comes to the door and says, "It is time to go." The man gets up and walks out. I lie there for a bit thinking, I wish I had clothes. I wish I had clothes. Then I think, oh well, I don't. So I get up, walk out to a car, and get in the car.
Fabulous dream. I'm so
Crazy.
excited. Oh my. All right. I made a few notes, so I might have to get some clarification as we go through it, but I did make a few notes. So let's see what we can do with this. The first question I want to ask you, though, Nancy, is what do you think this is about?
Well, I wonder. The nakedness struck me, but and though I was uncomfortable, I got up completely naked. So it's like is there something I need to shed? Am I walking towards something else? I have a lot of questions.
Yeah. So the premise of the dream, though, starts out with a friend. Now, did I hear you say this was a friend in the dream, but nobody you could identify from waking life?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. All right. And can you tell us anything about this person from the dream?
She's comfortable with what she's doing. There's no shame. And I also do not feel any judgment. It's just fact of what she's doing. And I feel like we're close friends.
Okay. Can you see her? Can you see what she looks like? Can you see?
No, I really can't. I have a feeling or a sense that she's about my age, maybe a little younger.
And she announces to you, or she imparts to you this idea that she's going to go have sex for money with a man.
Correct.
Okay. All right. First of all, I want to speak about this for just a second.
Okay.
This idea of a friend, but it's a friend that's, if you will, kind of an unknown.
Right.
You don't know her from waking life, so it's an unknown. However, since it is a woman, it is someone of our same gender, we can start with the idea that she is a shadow figure.
Okay.
That is to say, we all have a shadow in our personality, and it is the aspect of ourselves that we just don't show the world. Oftentimes, it's aspects of ourselves that we don't even admit to ourselves. Any kind of unacceptable passing thought or some kind of, I don't know, show of emotion or show of temper or something like that, where we say to ourselves, gosh, that wasn't like me. That just wasn't me. That is the shadow peeping through. Now, the interesting thing about the shadow is neither positive nor negative. It's both. That is to say, it's just all the undeveloped parts of ourselves or unacknowledged parts of ourselves. With our negative shadow, it's these negative aspects of ourselves that we don't dare show anyone else, or we don't even admit to ourselves. And I think it's very interesting that this shadow is walking around no shame, because often the shadow is in fact the holder of our shameful aspects. Okay. That being said, the positive shadow are parts of our personality that are the best parts of ourselves, or the potential best parts of ourselves that are still waiting to be developed. They're not developed yet, and therefore they're still in shadow. So shadow work we could spend the rest of forever right here, because
Right.
shadow work is essential work to know ourselves. And this shadow, at least now, is unknown. But it's a really interesting thing that she's up to. So do you have any questions or anything to say about that?
The only thing is, in dreams, is your shadow always the same sex?
So that is the guidepost for this. But what I like to say is that the so-called rules are fuzzy. They're fuzzy rules. And also often our shadow aspect, and for women, our masculine aspect, or our animus aspect, that masculine aspect, they hold hands down there in the unconscious. And sometimes it's hard to differentiate between what is shadow, what is my animus or my masculine side. Are they one and the same? Do they blur? Do they overlap? Can it be represented by a male figure? Yes. The answer is yes, all of that. So that's a starting place. Figure of the same gender is a shadow figure. That's a starting place. And so that's kind of where we are. Okay. All right. What's interesting about this whole dream, though, is that it has a sort of an echo effect. In other words, your friend is upstairs in bed with the man, and you're downstairs on the bottom floor in bed with a man.
Right.
And the two kind of echo one another. Now, what is so great about this is that she is frank and open that she is going to have sex with a man for money. Do I have it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, if you were here in my office and we were speaking privately and not for YouTube, I would ask you about this for yourself. I'm going to spare you that today. Unless there's something you'd like to say.
Well, it's something I enjoyed as a younger woman, more so than I do as 73-year-old woman. And I don't mind sharing a little bit, not a whole lot, but a little bit. Like I said, my husband and I've been married a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and there were times I wondered because I wanted sex more than he did.
Okay. So there was, mm,
I enjoyed it. I mean,
okay. You lucky woman.
yes.
So that does color the possible meaning of this. So now you are a spiritual director. You are a trained spiritual director, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So it's a really interesting idea that this intimate act can be a stand-in with the intimacy and the ecstasy that goes along with this, can be a stand-in for an ecstatic spiritual experience.
Okay.
Yeah. So if we go to Christian scripture, for instance, right there in the middle of all of the wisdom literature, which is usually right in the middle of our Bible, our Protestant Bible, like the Psalms and the Proverbs and the book of Job, for instance, these are all the wisdom literature. Well, right in the middle of all that is Song of Solomon.
Yeah.
And Song of Solomon has been pointed to by Christian mystics through the ages as being an expression of the lover and the beloved, of the bride and the bridegroom, and of the longing of the bridegroom for the bride and the bride for the bridegroom. The longing for the beloved is an expression of God's desire for us and our desire for God.
Right.
So there is definitely a spiritual aspect to this. Now, do you have any thoughts about that?
That excites me.
Okay.
Yeah.
At least one of my teachers, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Jeremy Taylor, who is the author of several really great books on dreams and dream work. I think it was Jeremy Taylor. He is deceased now, but boy, his books are still very much alive. He is the one that proposed to me in the course of a workshop that this ecstatic experience is very, very close to a spiritual ecstasy, that is the expression of it on earth.
Hmm.
You know, and if we look towards some of the other religious systems of the world, especially I'm thinking about Hinduism, there is a real close connection between religious ecstasy and the intimate act between a man and a woman. So let's hang on to that idea. And so this shadow aspect of you, if we follow this line, the shadow aspect of you is hunting for God and union with God. How does that sound?
Wow. In a one word, wow, just yeah.
Right. All right. So now we go to what we're going to do here. Do you have any idea? Is this completely unknown? This person was not seen.
I did see him.
Oh, okay.
I,
Oh, that's right. He said he was Ray.
yeah, he was Ray.
Okay. So great. Okay. Now, do you,
I don't know. I didn't know him. He didn't. I wasn't someone I knew.
okay. Okay. Again, an unknown aspect.
Yes.
So where we go here, Nancy, is first of all, we might think of any Rays that we have ever known. And do you have somebody that leaps to mind?
I know of one person I can think of, and it's my husband's uncle.
Oh, okay. Is there any outstanding characteristic of him that, I don't know, comes to mind?
Well, if I were to describe him, he's kind, he's funny, educated, and short-tempered.
Okay. When men show up in a woman's dream, it has to do with a masculine aspect within our own personality. Okay. What is the masculine aspect? Now, when I start talking about these these things, it sounds kind of stereotypical and kind of sexist, but honest to goodness, Nancy, it holds. I swear it does. So bear with me. All right. The masculine aspect in a woman's personality basically allows her to get stuff done in the world. The
Right.
masculine aspect of a woman's personality allows her to think rationally and logically, to make plans, to set a goal, to make the plans to achieve the goal, and the energy to actually execute the plan. In addition, the masculine aspect of a woman's personality allows her to hold boundaries, say no and mean it, to, you know, to hold a boundary around herself. So in that little run through of what I just said, any thoughts come to mind for you?
No,
Okay.
it's swirling in there, but there's nothing that I can kind of pinpoint of, because I'm trying to see, okay, how does that relate to me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I am those things that I first said about him, and I catch myself not expressing that short temper. And let me rephrase that. I have patience, just gift. It's not that I work on, it's something I'm gifted.
Interesting. Okay. And that serves you most of the time, or serves you all of the time.
I would say most all the time.
Okay. Is there any instance you can think of where a teaspoon of this might do you some,
Oh,
might,
yeah.
oh,
I put up with stuff that I sometimes wish I didn't or
there
hadn't.
it is. And that speaks to those boundaries I was just talking about. So I was taught in graduate school at the therapy school. I was taught that anger is often a sign that a boundary has been violated. So if something, catches us and we flare up about it, chances are decent that one of our boundaries has been stepped on. So this might be a clue to what some of this is all about, because what we're after is a balance, right? We're after a balance of our masculine aspect and our feminine or nurturing aspect, and we're after wholeness. So,
Right.
okay, all right, and that's what this may be pointing to as well, is literally getting in touch with more of our masculine aspect, and maybe specifically that.
Okay.
Okay, now here's it's so funny. Dreams, they don't follow the same moral code or legal code or even the laws of physics that our waking life does. But dreams just don't. They
Right.
they just don't. And so I'm so intrigued with, she's going to do this thing and I have no judgment about it. Whereas in waking life, we might say to our good friend, wait, hold on a second.
I'd have some judgment in waking life.
Right. This is so interesting that in the dream, it's almost like, this needs to happen. Okay.
Okay.
Now, so here's what I really want to ask is, what does money mean to you? What does it represent?
Well, security and abundance, freedom is fun.
Fun. It really is. Yeah, I like it too. So let's attempt to translate this then. At the very least, a balance with my masculine aspect, to balance out myself, maybe a little bit more of this, my masculine aspect is going to get me this, or it's going to get me more of this. If I can get in touch with more of my masculine aspect, then this is what I get.
Okay.
It specifically, if I can think about my boundaries and where they need to tighten up a little bit or just be reevaluated, I might come out with more security, abundance, freedom, and fun, which would be marvelous.
Right.
Okay. And underneath all of that too is the balance. If, our psyche is forever seeking that balance. And also God is forever seeking us. So both of these things are true simultaneously because dreams speak to us on different levels. A single dream can address different things. And what I love about this dream is that this whole sequence right here, or this whole idea right here, is such an attention getter. It catches our attention because it is in fact so outside of our waking life experience. How am I doing so far?
Good. It's giving me things I hadn't even begun to think of.
Okay, now all of this is going on off camera, off stage, if you will, while you're having your own adventure. Ego is having its own adventure down on the bottom floor of this weird hotel barn place. All right, so let's talk just a little bit about hotels and barns, because when our dream gives us an image of both things, we gotta roll with it and talk about them a little bit separately and a little bit together about what they may be, along with the idea of it being the lower floor and this being happening in the upper floor, in the higher place.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a motel.
It's a motel, which is a different creature. And you tell me what a motel means.
To me, it's cheaper. There's less security or feeling of security. There's more possibility of danger, I guess, or unsettling.
So say a little bit more though. This is like on the bottom floor. I'm picturing a two-story outside of the road.
Yes. And the
Yeah.
barn part of it is, there were stairs going up from where this room, quote, barn was, but I don't even know if it was actually attached, but the floors were both above it. There were two floors above the barn.
Okay. This is giving me an interesting Airbnb idea. And you are on the bottom floor, and it's kind of a dirt floor.
Or like an old barn like you see in Westerns.
Okay. Old floor. This is all going on above. So the overall feel of this, can you put some feeling words on the overall feel of this place? You did say unsettling and a little bit dangerous.
It's cheap, there's a darkness about it because there's no, even in the barn area, it's dark, but the overall setting is dark. It's dingy.
Yeah. Okay. So the interesting thing about the settings of dreams are indeed a place in our own psyche. And I can't stand it when a dream points to my sort of dark, dingy corners of my own psyche. The darkness can point to, or the sort of dimness you kind of can see, but not quite, it's dim, dark, points to where you are in consciousness. In other words, things that are in the dim are not quite conscious. They're coming to consciousness. This is as opposed to a dream that is in bright daylight or a dream that is in utter darkness. This is presenting these images just coming into consciousness. And here's the thing. Ego, and that's the I in the dream, the I. The ego in our dreams is the same ego as the ego in our waking life, but in a dream, it's just wandering around in the unconscious. In our waking life, it's wandering around in the world. So this dream ego feels just the possibility of danger. Well, actually, that's a good thing. Hear me out. That's a good thing. Because if some sort of change is coming, if something profound is happening, ego gets super nervous about it because it means change. It means something's going to change. And it may be a change of just consciousness. But ego hates change.
Right.
Even good change. It just hates change. It feels dangerous. It feels like something terrible is coming to an end, and it might be the end of me. So this unsettledness in the darkness may be a function of there's some serious stuff going on upstairs, and ego gets a little nervous about it, if that makes some sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've learned over the years that in my own dreams, that if I am afraid, then it's probably for my own good. Kind of like the first time you ever go off the high dive as a kid, and once you do it, you're never the same. So tell me about barns, just in general. What do you associate with barns?
Well, they are have a lot of associations. I guess they're for animals.
Okay.
They're smelly, and they can't be clean.
And did this barn seem particularly not clean?
Right. Well, it had a dirt floor.
Uh-huh.
It was, that just there's no way to be clean when you got dirt, I guess. Yeah. That's what I was. And it was just, and it was just a big area. Old wood, it wasn't especially dirty, but it was unable to ever be cleaned.
Uh-huh.
Bright and shiny. Could never be bright and shiny, I guess, more than clean.
Okay. Going back up to a motel, thinking about in general, what are motels for, or what's their purpose?
For those just traveling through. I don't think of motels as somewhere where people stay for long.
So if I can add, they're like a temporary place.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And they are utilized, if I can add one more thing, they are utilized when people are on a journey.
Right.
So I think I've shared before that I dreamed of hotels and motels of all shapes, sizes, qualities for a decade until I changed my career and went back to graduate school at midlife. And then I stopped dreaming about those places. And my theory about it was I was on the journey to the midlife change.
Mm.
And then when I made the midlife change, I was good. I, so that might be something. And the whole idea of this being a temporary stop on the way to something else. Just let's just hold that idea. And down here with the barn for the animals, and it can't be clean. It's got a dirt floor. One thing that springs to mind for me, and you get to say, no, that doesn't fit, is an idea about staying grounded, about kind of getting back to earth.
Yes.
Okay.
Not something I had thought of, but yes, that rings true.
Okay. Something about touching in with nature, something about touching in with animals, as smelly as they are, about our instincts, something along that, like, you know.
Even I'm thinking too, even to be part that I am part of nature.
Yes, 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 yes. Yes. Yeah.
And
So
things, even though when I look at those words, it's like, that I didn't have a feeling, repelling against that area.
good. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it was all right to
Yeah.
be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now, what do you find there in
A huge giant bed
a huge giant
filled
bed?
up the whole area. I mean, 30 or 40 people could have lied down on that bed.
Wow.
Yeah, it just filled up the room or the barn or whatever.
Tell me about beds. What are beds for?
Therefore, well, in this dream, they're for a lot of things. They're for sleeping, they're for comfort, they're for intimacy.
Okay. All right. And so often, Nancy, when something shows up oversized, you know, this giant bed, or sometimes a giant animal shows up, or something completely outsized that we would not come across in waking life, that is to get our attention. It's like a flag. Hey, pay attention to this. And so the dream really wants you to pay attention to this,
Okay.
and what it means to you. You know, what the giant bed means to you. And so any thoughts about that?
That's a lot of to process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Be sitting with. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so what do you end up you'll get to think about that. Okay. What do you end up doing?
I take off my clothes and get in the bed, cover up with the sheet.
Now that's an interesting thing to do.
For not in a great big bed like that, but for me, when when I'm alone, I am most comfortable sleeping naked.
Okay. All right. So this is not unusual. This is what you do.
Yeah, well, not often. I'm not by myself very often.
Okay. So there is something comfortable about that
Yeah,
idea.
yes.
Okay. And in these circumstances, that's when you do it. In other words, in the dream, It's not like you're taking off all your clothes and walking outside or, having company or something.
Right.
It actually fits in what you're able to do when you're at home alone and you have that opportunity.
Right.
So it's not terribly unusual. So it's at least in this way, it is comfortable. Anything else occur to you about taking off clothes?
No, no.
Okay. So I'm going to say a couple of things about this. Often when we dream, we don't even notice our clothing. Sometimes we can go through a whole dream and we just don't even know what we're wearing. We're not paying, the action is somewhere else. But clothing often is a stand-in for or a representation of something that's called persona. And our persona is how we present to the world. The word persona means mask. So how do we present to the world? How do we dress ourselves? How do we style our hair? What color lipstick do we wear? What car do we choose to drive? What handbag we choose to carry? How we decorate the front of the house at Christmas time? It's all some telegraphing to the world something about ourselves. Our persona is how we present to the world. And so often in dreams, to take off our clothes is to take off, and persona, by the way, has to also do with roles, the roles that we have in our life. For instance, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother. These are I'm a therapist, I'm a friend, I'm a neighbor. These are roles that I fill, and they make up some of my persona, if that makes sense.
Yes, yes.
So this is sometimes represented in our dreams, and if we take off or put on clothes, it might be a comment on, do we need to take off a persona? Do we need to change the way we're presenting to the world? Do we need to take off a role? Do we need to, whatever that might mean? Something along these lines. Does that mean anything to you?
It's again food for thought, because I do have a number of roles, and I've just taken on a role that I had before, and now it's a little rocky. And and also I have volunteered myself to the hilt at our church, and it's like, okay, I'm doing something every week, just about. I don't like that presentation of myself. I don't want to be, don't want to be looked at or present myself as I've always got to be in the limelight. I don't mind some, but I don't want to give off the perception of that I have to be in the limelight.
Okay.
And that is something that just sort of struck me when I looked at the schedule for ministries at the church, and I thought, good grief, this is ridiculous. I don't need to do all of this. I don't mind doing any of it.
Right.
Anyway.
But I've done so many of these at my church as well. Taught Sunday school, served on the vestry, served on the committees, and service is very, very important. No question about it. But this intimacy with the spiritual, it has to be well, listen to me preach. I'm preaching.
Not even
This connection, if it's strong and in place, all of this is a piece of cake.
Okay, right. Yeah.
And so I don't know. I'm throwing that out. I'm talking to myself. I'm not preaching. I'm preaching to myself.
There we go. That's
So what's interesting is that here's this giant bed and you choose to take off your clothes and then get into the bed. And is the idea that you're going to sleep?
Yes,
Okay. All right. And there's a sheet involved.
yes.
Okay. Now, to me, this is kind of interesting. And here's my take on it. So the idea is that you're going to get comfortable, get into the bed and go to sleep, cover with sheet, which is right. And in the meantime, though, down here in this barn, you're doing all this down here in this kind of this earthy place. In the meantime, though, up above, this is happening.
Mm, mm.
So, I'm thinking about this in terms of sleep and dreams often is a comment on a level of consciousness. If we fall asleep, we fall into unconsciousness. Now, it's hard to stay conscious all the time. It's super hard to stay maximum consciousness at all times.
Right.
And yet we are called, I think, to be more conscious than we usually are. A couple of things occur to me that no matter what you're doing or how conscious you are, this is going to still be happening. This what this stands for, what we talked about before, this spiritual connection that's still going to be happening, whether you're conscious of it or not. The other thing that occurs to me, though, is that while you're down here sleeping, there's just this whole bunch of stuff going on in your dreams. This is
Right. Right.
So there's that. But before you have a chance to go to sleep, something else happens. Is that right?
That's right. I never got to go to sleep.
Never, no. Because here he comes.
Comes another man.
Another man. And this one is completely unknown. He doesn't tell you his name.
Right. He does not.
Okay. Unknown, no name. So we have no clue about him. Do you get a look at him? Can you describe it?
I cannot. I have no idea what his face looks like. But when he takes his clothes off, he has the same body as my husband.
Ah, okay. Okay. So he takes his clothes off.
Right.
Now, let's talk about husbands for a second. All right.
All we got is a second.
Oh boy. So we have a masculine side, as I mentioned before. We have a masculine aspect, an animus aspect. It has lots of facets. Part of our masculine aspect gets projected on some man out there in the world, and if it's the right man, we end up marrying him.
Okay.
And if it's if it's meant to be, we stay married to him like for 1,000,000 years. I've been married to mine for 43 years, and you said 55?
55 in November. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
So our husbands carry a piece of our animus or our masculine energy. We saw something in them all those years ago that reflected some part of ourselves back to us. And we needed that, and we married it. And then if we're fortunate or just we just have enough grit and resilience, or we have enough loyalty, we figure out how to stay in relationship with this fellow human being, which I think we deserve a prize. I mean,
Okay. Yeah.
even though they're great guys, it's just building a life with another human being is wow. It's a wow. So since this one might be like your husband, it might be fun to think about what was that thing 55 plus years ago that caught your attention. Do you mind telling us his name?
Gary, Gary.
What was so great about Gary when you met him?
I think what drew me to him was he was a protector.
Ah, okay.
And he likes that role.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's like, I don't need protected.
Okay.
That is something that drew me to him a long time ago.
Okay.
And what else drew me to? He was confident.
That's, yeah. Yeah. That is, I mean, that is so sexy, right?
It was, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And how old were y'all when you met?
I was 17. He was almost 19. We got married a year later. I was 18. He was like 2 weeks being 20.
And what's so funny about that, of course, is looking back on our 17, 18, 19-year-old selves, we didn't have a thing to be confident about. We didn't know what we were doing. I mean, right?
Right.
But nevertheless, that quality is just so attractive. It just is. It's so attractive. So here's my question. Are you confident?
Yes, I am now.
Okay. Okay. And my next question is, do you have a sense of how to protect yourself? Meaning, again, maybe hold a boundary.
Not good.
Okay.
Not all the time.
All right. So that might be what this interlude is a little bit about. It also, of course, can be a comment on your relationship with Gary today. You know, I mean, when we have those tough conversations with our significant other, our spouse of a million years, or just our boyfriend of 6 months, we kind of have to take our clothes off and kind of be vulnerable with one another if we're going to have a real conversation.
Right.
And we need to have these every so often. We just need to, okay, and I don't care. I'm speaking for myself. I don't care how long I've been married. These conversations can be tough.
Right.
Where we really take off all the roles and all the things, and kind of bare our souls to one another. So I don't know. You don't have to comment on that, but that's a possibility.
And it's at this point in our relationship, we've been having some of those types of conversations, and they haven't been pleasant.
So let's see.
Some conflict.
Okay, so we'll say deep conversations, conflict. Because after all, now is the time.
Right.
How are we going to spend the rest of our lives? How are we going to spend the rest of our lives together?
Yeah.
That's a deep conversation, and we might all have different ideas about that. So,
right. Yeah.
How's this going? Is this whole process going the way you thought? Maybe? No.
I didn't have any idea of how this was going to go. It's how I thought. I mean, I just didn't know because I felt like there was a lot here,
Mm-hmm.
but I couldn't put my finger on anything so this has been very enlightening for me.
Great. Now we're not quite finished because what was the last thing you said? I wish
I had clothes on.
I wish I had clothes on. Ah.
Or I wish I had clothes, not clothes on. I couldn't,
right.
I don't know where my clothes were.
Right, right. Okay. I think that is terribly significant in light of what we spoke of earlier about persona being how we present to the world, the roles that we carry. how that's unfolding. Also, this idea of taking off our clothes has, if you will, to do with vulnerability, with being vulnerable,
Mm-hmm.
with one another. That's a word. So now I wish I had clothes, don't know where they are. Is this, I don't know what my role should be.
Yeah.
You had mentioned early on our conversation that you were looking for your purpose,
Right. Yes.
and that purpose often aligns with or doesn't align with the roles that we actually find ourselves in. So
Yeah.
might be something about that. I don't know where my role is.
And I don't. I'm at this point, it's like I'm kind of floundering on
Yeah.
what is my role? What is my purpose? Why am I here?
I I have really good news for you, Nancy, and that is up above your head, that's getting worked out right here. Look at there.
Yeah.
I think that's getting worked out. I think there's something here that certainly, what am I going to do? What am I not going to do?
Hmm.
Boundary aspect goes along with, how much of this volunteering do I want to do? Or is this where it is? Or is it somewhere else? But I think in the background, off camera, off stage, this is getting worked on. Those very questions are getting worked on.
And is that something I need to just let happen, or is that something that I need to work on?
So, as a spiritual director yourself, I mean, do you have a sense of that idea? Do you have a sense that of what that might look like?
No, that's where I'm sort of, just I'm floundering and
Yeah.
and not knowing what do I need to do. Uh, uh, I don't feel like I'm following my heart as such, and I don't know
Yes.
where my heart is or where it was leading me. I'm doing silly stuff like playing damn games on my phone, wasting time, and I'm like, I don't want to do that, but I can't
Mhm.
stop myself. So or whatever, and it's like I don't
Mhm.
know what else can I do?
Mhm.
And I think part of it, I finished my certification in February,
Mhm.
and that was intense for 2 years of
Yes.
reading and studying and interaction with people and all that, and it's gone
Uh,
because it's over.
yeah.
Or it's over. And okay, so now what do I do? Well, I can't just be right now or
Yeah.
something. I don't know what it is.
So that really fed you. That was really
Yes.
feeding you.
Yes. And being a spiritual director is something that is probably a calling that I have had for 30 years. I've had people that have come to me and that kind of thing and felt like this was training
Mhm.
that I needed in order to say, that's what I do.
The first thing that jumps up to me is, do you need a retreat? Like a
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
That is something it's like I've been looking for one too. I mean, it's like I haven't found one yet. I
I,
need also, I do centering prayer.
yes.
Love long retreats. I've done long retreats in the past. I can't do a weekend retreat and get enough silence. By the time the weekend's over, it's like, no, I'm not finished. So trying to find one that's at least 5 days. I mean, for me, I need 10.
I got good news for you.
Okay.
Um, our friends down in South Louisiana can accommodate you. Our Jesuit friends, our Catholic friends down in South Louisiana can help you out. There's a Jesuit retreat center down there just north of Lafayette called the Jesuit Retreat Center at St. Charles College at Grand Coteau, Louisiana. And
Okay.
they will give you 5 days, 8 days, 30 days silent retreat.
Okay. I have actually, it's been a while. I've been to Grand Coteau.
Okay, then you know that's available.
Yeah, yeah. I need to look into that again. It's the difference for me in doing Ignatian and
Mhm,
prayer. Ignatian is sort of guided.
mhm,
And I did a 10-day there and
mhm,
came back and I thought I've got all of these things to work on.
mhm.
I do a 10-day centering prayer retreat. I don't have anything to work on. I'm changed. And it's so deep.
Um,
That's my only thing about
mhm.
Jesuits.
Well,
They want to direct me.
yeah, they do, and I've told them no.
Yeah.
I said, they asked me, what am I here for? And I said, I'm here to rest. And they left me alone.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Do you have to go at a certain, or can you book a 10-day private, or do you know?
You'll have to jump on their website and see
Yeah.
what they suggest. So that's an idea. That's an idea. I always ask this, how might you honor this dream? How might you do something very specific to the dream and honor this dream?
I knew you were going to ask that, and I tried to figure out something before I got on this call. I didn't come up with anything. I really don't know.
Now, you're within, I would suspect, within a few miles, one way or another, of somebody who's got a barn.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's barns around here. Finding
Uh,
somebody I know is a little bit different, but yeah, there's barns around here.
I wonder, I don't know, go visit a barn, go pet a horse,
Ooh.
go pet a cow.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I've never been there, but Tupelo has a buffalo park.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about nature,
Yeah.
touching nature somehow.
And I wouldn't be surprised if my husband doesn't know somebody with a barn.
Hmm. That's an idea. That's,
Yeah.
that's, yeah.
I don't know that I want to touch any animals. So.
Okay. Okay. You don't have to. Yeah, the other thing that occurred to me, maybe, is your actual bed. Is it time to get new stuff for the bed? Is it time? I mean, every so often we need to replace our stuff on our
Right.
bed to make sure it's comfortable and feels
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Oh, it hadn't been that long. Yeah. But I may do that. I have a cottage that's right, 100 yards from the house.
Mhm.
And I go by myself sometimes, and it's got a hide-a-bed in there, but I may do some new bedding for that just because it's just my space.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. So those are a couple of ideas. Maybe some other idea will come to you. Is it time to take a trip?
Even as I was talking to you, thinking, even if it is only a weekend or 3 days or whatever, and a lot of times, I haven't been in a while, but to go over to Sacred Heart Monastery in Coleman.
Yeah,
Just
that's a good one. Yeah, that's closer to you than Grand Coteau.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nancy, did we get anywhere with this? Do you think?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. There's so much, and that you brought out that I had not, and I love the what's going on. That no, okay. Need to, I guess, rest in that
Mm-hmm.
and let it unfold. It's hard for me to to do that. I feel like I'm fairly balanced, but that animus, I want to go. And but also I have a strong animal also, very nurturing and that kind of thing. So it's, but that to just sit with something is hard for me. So
Okay. Yeah.
thank you.
Oh, thank you, Nancy. Thank you so much for sharing that dream. That was a big one. That was a big dream. So treat it as the holy and sacred thing that it is, because it is. And
Appreciate
thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank
Okay.
you.